What's up, BloodStream listeners? It's your girl Hannah, and we are back with you for another episode of Gene Therapy, A Whole New World. Today, we are exploring the power of genetic counseling in the age of gene therapy, how it helps individuals and families make sense of complex information, helps them weigh their options, and feel empowered in their decision making. Joining us today is Kaylee Dollerschell, a hematology genetic counselor at the University of Colorado's Hemophilia and Thrombosis Center and Children's Hospital in Colorado. Kaylee works closely with families, navigating hereditary conditions, helping them understand both the physical and emotional layers of that genetic diagnosis. Though, before we dive in, here is a quick word from our sponsor. It's a Whole New World gene therapy segment brought to you by CSL Behring and their Hemophilia B gene therapy treatment. To learn more about gene therapy, hear patient stories, and view additional support resources, visit beyondhemb.com or download B Support wherever you get your apps for more information and to manage your treatment journey. Gene therapy has opened a new world of possibilities, but with that comes a lot of questions. Genetic counseling often serves as the bridge between cutting-edge science and the everyday realities that families make tough decisions. Genetic counseling often serves as the bridge between cutting-edge science and everyday realities of families making tough decisions. Let's start at the beginning, because not everyone listening might know what genetic counseling actually involves or how it fits into a conversation about gene therapy.
Genetic counseling has been around for many decades now, but I think we are starting to be maybe more of a household name that people are more familiar with. Some maybe not, but genetic counselors work all over the place. I mean, we have genetic counselors that work in clinic settings. We have genetic counselors that now work for labs or advocacy groups or insurance companies. Really, there's a lot of different roles, but I would definitely say at the heart of genetic counseling is providing support and education to families who have various types of genetic disorders.
That range of roles is so fascinating, and it sounds, no matter the setting, a key part of the work is translation. You're helping families not only understand the science behind gene therapy, but also what it could mean for their day-to-day lives. So that makes me wonder, how do people actually connect with a genetic counselor? Is it something they can just set up themselves?
If you're looking for genetic counseling, you're going to need a referral from a provider to see a genetic counselor, but we're kind of in a bunch of different areas now. So you may attend a clinic that already has access to a genetic counselor, and they may meet you during an appointment, or your doctor can put in a referral to see a genetic counselor. If your clinic doesn't have direct access to genetic counseling, there's now a few online platforms that your doc can refer you to.
So when a person is on this journey, it is important to receive a referral to speak with a genetic counselor. As genetic counseling becomes more accessible in different settings, it's clear how it plays such a critical role. And when a family does start thinking about gene therapy, I imagine there's a mix of science and emotions that comes with it. What does that conversation look like?
Of course, there's lots of conversations that are going to be happening with your provider team and lots of other medical staff members. But specifically, genetic counselors, I think, can play a role in understanding what is the underlying genetic driver of your condition. And when we are starting to have some of these new therapies that we as providers and healthcare members are very excited to present to people, we also need to really understand that some of these communities, it's always this excitement. We have a new treatment for XYZ. Oh, we're so excited to present it to families. And I think just taking some of that historical information and being sensitive that when we're discussing these therapies, that there may be families that are like, hey, we're not really interested in generation one of a particular treatment. Let's wait for a little bit and make sure we can kind of gain trust and understanding of it. We also have families that are very excited for some of these new treatments because their families went through some really drastic and hardships that these new treatments can hopefully prevent in their children and themselves.
So it's not just about what's available. It's about when a family is ready to engage. And that brings us to a bigger idea. How do providers support people in finding treatments that align with their life, not just what's newest or most exciting?
I think that our goal at our center and our clinics, and I think we share this with most clinics, is that we're people before patients. And I think we want to make sure that we support individuals in whatever they want to do with their life. And most of that usually revolves around trying to find a treatment that keeps them comfortable, keeps them safe, and hopefully keeps them out of our clinic as much as possible. And I think that the exciting thing about gene therapy and all of these emerging treatments is that it's hopefully allowing patients to be a person before a patient and living their life in a safe manner, but living their life the way they want to and hopefully not having their condition impact their daily life nearly as much as we.
Understanding the science behind a diagnosis is one thing, but connecting that science to someone's everyday experience is where genetic counseling really can shine. Kaylee had mentioned earlier that these conversations can be tough, and I keep thinking about how emotional this journey must be for some families. What role does that play in your work?
So, I specifically often work with individuals that have certain types of blood disorders, whether it be bleeding disorders or otherwise. And I think it's really nice to start from the basics of what genetic change do you have that's causing your condition and what is gene therapy going to do? Because I think a lot of times it's really important to understand what we are trying to give the body to kind of make up for your condition. So, for example, in hemophilia A, that we work with quite a bit, you often are born with a genetic change in your hemophilia A gene, that factor 8 gene. And what gene therapies are most often doing now, although there's different approaches to gene therapies, but some of the most common gene therapies are, we know that your factor 8, your F8 gene in hemophilia A is not working 100%. And gene therapy at this point is trying to deliver a healthy working copy of that factor 8 gene for your body to use as kind of a template rather than the one that's not working quite as well. So I think it's really helpful for families to sit down and understand why we're doing gene therapy and the approach that that gene therapy is taking.
That's such an important point. You're not just replacing the treatment, you're giving the body something it's missing. It sounds like a big part of Kaylee's job is helping families step back and see the whole picture. Not just the science, but the emotional reality of what might change with gene therapy.
There's definitely some hard conversations that come with genetic counseling, but I really hope at the end of the day that families leave feeling more empowered, that they understand their own genetics and understand how their treatment or journey is impacted by that. And I don't know, it's just trying to put it's your DNA.
Exactly. It's about feeling empowered, not just following a treatment plan, but actively participating in your own health journey. As we get ready to wrap up, I'd love to hear Kaylee's take on this. What would you say to someone who's just starting to think about gene therapy, whether it's a patient, a parent, or even a sibling?
I think regardless of the genetic or condition that you're working with in general, but I think it's really important to understand what a family's situation has been. How has their relationship with their condition been? Is it something that they've lived with their condition and it's been something that has not impacted their life in a really detrimental way and they perceive different treatments maybe differently than families that have been really impacted in the past negatively by certain treatments and by their condition, and just understanding every family is going to come with their historical background and making sure that families are comfortable as we talk through these treatments of being able to ask questions and be able to share their piece and be comfortable being honest with their providers on their thoughts on new treatment.
That perspective is so important. Recognizing the history of bleeding disorders and the hardships most have went through is huge. Acknowledging that individual family history with their condition and treatment can really shape how they view new options. As we look ahead, there's both incredible potential and a real need for continued learning. With treatments like gene therapy, we're not just talking about a single solution. We're talking about the possibility of real life-changing options for families who may have faced tough roads in the past.
I think that there's so much promise, but I think there's also a lot of learning that still has to happen. And I think we're getting lots of really good information, but there's going to probably be different tweaks and iterations to each generation as they come out with these different treatments. I think that the most exciting piece that comes with these new treatment options like gene therapy, again, are just giving families different options, and especially families that have had difficulties with certain treatments in the past. It just, again, gives one more option that may be an option that then keeps them off of treatment or keeps them at minimal treatment moving forward that drastically changes their lifestyle.
Talking with Kaylee really reminded me this work is about people first. It's about creating space for honest conversations, tough questions, and whatever path really makes sense for the family. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We hope today's episode helped you see why genetic counseling is such a crucial part of the gene therapy journey, where science meets heart and decisions are made with confidence. Until next time, it's your girl Hannah, signing off.